Alright, all you glorious gamers out there, welcome to the PlayersToo Podcast, the video game podcast for gamers like you, by gamers like you. You can find PlayersToo on all the social media, that's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, the lot. You can also find our written content over at PlayersToo.com, that's PlayerStoo.com. And if you could take 5 seconds to give us 5 stars over on Apple Podcasts, that would really help us out. It does a huge amount for the exposure of the show, and I'd like to extend a big thank you to anyone that's already done that for us. You're an absolute legend to us. Alright, and on with the show. My name is Mark Henderson. With me as always, Mr. Lewis Camley. How's it going, Lewis?
It's going real well, Mark. How you doing?
I am okay. What have you been playing this week?
As last week, I've been playing a bit of Link's Awakening, but I gather that you might have already surpassed me with that, so tell us about it.
Yeah, I've kind of finished that.
So when we recorded last week, you hadn't begun playing
I
it.
literally hadn't played it, and now I've finished it.
Good grief.
That's quite a lot, isn't it?
Like it's because it's definitely like about 15 hours or so, right? So,
well, is it?
Check your in-game clock.
I'll never know.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't have an in-game clock.
I thought it had one on the save
I don't think it has
file.
an in-game clock, no. But if you look under your profile on Switch, it tells you, you've played more than 10 hours. And I have played more than 10 hours. I have not played more than 15 hours. I reckon I'm far closer to 10 than I am to 15. And this kind of brings up the point, again, of value for money for this game. So this is a full-price title. I can very easily understand why people are upset with the length of time of this game and the fact that it's an old game, considering how long it took me to beat it. Now, I was on the total other side of this before. I was kind of like, well, if it's worth it to you, then it doesn't really matter how long it is. And it was worth it to me. It was definitely worth it for me. I would have no problems buying it again for 50 quid. Or, well, it's not in reality, it's not really 50 quid. It's like 45 or 40 quid in reality. But I can completely understand the counterpoint to that argument, or certainly understand that a hell of a lot better now, because I basically beat this in 2 pretty long play sessions and 1 pretty short one, really. So I reckon that both of those longer play sessions were probably about 4 or 5 hours, and the shorter one was maybe 2 or 3. So I reckon I'm quite comfortably under 15 hours. Over 10, but quite comfortably under 15. And yeah, I can understand the point. So take that on board if you're considering going to play it. However, what I'm going to come on to is how fucking amazing this game is. It was a tremendously concise, yes, but amazing experience. And see, playing this game, and also we're still playing Super Metroid as well. So playing these kind of old school games, they rely so heavily on amazing level design.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The level design in Link's Awakening and the level design in Super Metroid is fucking next level, and it holds up. It holds up so good because like that doesn't age. You know what I mean? Graphics age and things like that. Good level design doesn't age. Yeah. And some of those dungeons are insane, like absolutely insane, and really difficult from a puzzle perspective. Sometimes a wee bit bullshit from a puzzle perspective, if I'm totally honest with you. But not to the point where you're like furious at the game. You're just like, it was that thing, of course. Yep. And then you go into the next thing, and then you go into a nice run of like finding a whole bunch of things that you had to do, and then getting all the way to the bosses. That's one thing that I would say, is that the boss fights, a wee bit of a letdown. They're very Nintendo boss fights, aren't they? From a modern games perspective, considering how difficult some of the puzzling sections are, to get to a boss fight that you absolutely spank. Like I never died at a boss fight until the final boss fight. Seriously? Yeah.
I've died in plenty of them, but often just from like trying stuff until it doesn't work anymore, and then starting again, essentially.
Oh, that just proves that better than you in this game, then, doesn't it? No, but I mean, I had died. I have died throughout the game again. You can become complacent, or you can go through like maybe the same sections of dungeons over again, or you can get like cornered by enemies, particularly early on when you don't have a lot of hearts. But I mean, I have died, but I never died in a single boss fight apart from the last one, which I died in twice actually, and beaten my 3rd attempt. And it is significantly more difficult than the rest of the boss fights, I'd also say. No, but it was a really great game. The aesthetic of the game, I know some people were being like, oh, they made it like dead cutesy. It looks absolutely tremendous. It looks as if you're playing with like little plastic toys that are just like, honestly, it's like delightful. Everything about it is just tremendous. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. So to me, definitely worth the price of a full price game, but maybe less than 15 hours. I'm going to put it at 12 hours. Okay. If 12 hours for you isn't worth that amount of money, I think it's a completely justifiable decision to go and buy something else. Yeah, frankly. I mean, it seems, or as well, if you're looking for that sort of experience, Ori and the Blind Forest, which was the other game that I've been playing, is also that sort of length. and I have now completed.
Yeah.
And that was also like absolutely great. Was it as good as Link's Awakening? I mean, probably not, but the gap in quality between those two games probably isn't as much as people would think. The controls in Ori and things like that, again, as I mentioned in previous podcasts, were a wee bit sort of loose for my taste, particularly when you were going for a lot of precision, particularly later on. Again, I think I said in a podcast maybe last week or 2 weeks ago that it was a lot easier than I was maybe anticipating, kind of in my head, comparing it to Hollow Knights and Celeste. So it was a bit easier than that, but the difficulty really ramped up. Like it did probably ramp up, and it was seriously challenging in places towards the end. And you just want a wee bit more control over her, you know? And it's not really there. I actually didn't enjoy that game as much as I wanted to. Like, I thought this was going to be not saying that it was bad at all, and it's definitely worth your money. And again, I think it's about, I can't remember what I paid for it. I got some money off with those points. I think it was about 14 quid, something like that. Perfect amount of money for the game, I'd say, and completely worth it. And I would highly recommend it anyone. Like, if it's appealing to you and you're like, oh, I don't know, no, go and buy it. No, it's really good. I just wanted it to be like Celeste good, which is unfair. Like, it's unfair for me to expect that.
I feel like you built it up in your head quite a lot.
I honestly, I had, and I think that I was my own worst enemy there as well. Like, I thought it was going to be one of the greatest 2D platformers that I'd ever played, and in reality it's not that, but it's still damn good. It was still 100% worth my time.
Very good, nice one.
But you've been playing something that I want to get stuck into as well, which I believe involves a goose list, doesn't it?
I have finally started the Untitled Goose Game, which is just incredible. Like, I'm sure everyone who's listening knows about this. It's been a bit of a kind of media sensation the last few weeks, but essentially you play as this awful goose messing up the lives of these sort of small town England villagers. It's a very kind of simple, or at least simple looking kind of puzzle game, essentially. It's stealth puzzle game where you just get chucked into this environment. You are a goose. You have a to-do list which constantly updates.
You have a to-do list?
Literally, it's like a handwritten to-do list on lined paper.
Written by the goose?
Presumably. Of just like things to do. So like the very first bit, which is essentially your training level, so I'll spoil it a little bit. There's just like a groundskeeper, and he's like tending to some veg and stuff like that, and you've got to like take away all of his picnic stuff and make a picnic for yourself, and you've got to get him wet, and you've got to get his hat off him and stuff like that. And so you just kind of slowly work out what it is you're supposed to do. Most of the puzzles become sort of like, I have to do this, and that will cause this to happen, and then that will cause this to happen, and then I can do this. You know, so it's kind of like just working out what the chain of events are. But it is just so much fun. Like, the playing as a goose, walking around as a goose is incredible. The way that they've animated the motion on this thing is just so realistic, even though it's kind of like a hand-drawn looking style.
Yeah,
like,
it looks quite flat.
Yeah, it's more or less totally flat. Like, just when you're looking at it straight on, obviously it is a 3D environment, but it's like not
graphically.
It's not trying to be anything.
Like, for lack of a better comparison, I suppose, like sort of South Parky. Like everything's sort of papery and
sort
flat.
of. Yeah. But like, it's still like, it's a really fun world to move around in, and you just kind of discover each little. It's all just little sections of the village that you move through, and you discover different puzzles in each one. So I am just loving it. Like, you discover all these little interesting interactions between the humans that live in the village. There's no like peril within it, so it's only that you can be messed up while you're trying to steal things from them or whatever. You can be interrupted and chased away and stuff, so you're constantly just kind of sitting there working out what the loop is and what you're supposed to get and how it's supposed to interact with the environment. It's not a difficult game. It's not like, there's not that much to it. It's just very satisfying to run around honking at people, flapping your wings and stealing things from them. And it's led to like some of my favorite moments in like recent gaming history of just like, there's this little boy who's definitely like, you know, a little geek, and he's struggling to like play on his own, and you just come and ruin his day. Like, you just come and flap in his face and take his ball away from him and stuff. And that's terrible to laugh at that, but it's so much fun to do it. So I was sat there with my flatmate and another friend, and we were playing it and just like having such a laugh at all the dumb stuff you could try out, basically. Yeah.
So you like virtually bullying children? Is that what you're saying?
And adults, all comers. When you're stalking around their village as a goose, you can't help it.
Fair enough, man. I've also heard kind of loose comparisons between this game and a game from a completely different genre, I would have thought, which is Hitman. Do you see the parallels there?
Yeah. Because I had sort of seen a few things, I think quasi-jokingly relating it to Metal Gear Solid, which is like, it does do a thing where you get into a cardboard box and that sort of stuff, right? It does work like Hitman does to a certain extent. Characters have loops of movement. So at one point there's a woman who kind of patrols her garden essentially, and she paints a little bit, and then she goes over here and fixes this thing, and you can kind of go in, disrupt this thing, which gives you an exit, and it also means that she'll go and look at it, and while she's over there looking at it, you can steal something off her washing line, and while she's coming over to get the thing from you that you've stolen off the washing line, you go and you steal a cup that you then leave in next door's garden or whatever. Things like that. It's like environmental puzzles where you're trying to lure people in and out of spaces, and you are then just messing up their day for them. So like I can see what the Hitman comparison is. Like it is a stealth game, even though you can wander about freely, sort of in that Hitman way. If you walk about in the area that you shouldn't be in, you'll be chased away, sort of thing. So there's a kind of reasonable comparison there, but I mean, I think it's very short. We played it for
I understand, like in the loosest
yeah.
terms.
Like it's almost like a play on that type of game, I suppose. But I suspect I'm about halfway through. We just played it for a couple of hours. I didn't want to just rush through it in one sitting. But I suspect there's only one or two missions left. But for the money and for the kind of novelty of it, and just like it's got some really fun, stupid little daft things in it that are just like really fun to experience. So I highly recommend it. It's been such a big part of the gaming zeitgeist over the last couple of weeks that it was about time that I jumped in to play it. And the one other thing, which I've mentioned so much on the show before, so just to wrap up the story at last, I have completed Baba Is You. I've rolled credits on Baba Is You. Yeah, had the final puzzle to do, which was super tricky, but got it there. It was just very, very good to finally see the credits on that game.
See the end of it.
Yeah, they still.
Were you ready to see those credits?
About there. I mean, there's still puzzles in it, and I would go back and play like the ones that I've not completed yet. 'Cause you don't have to do them all to complete the game, but we did a huge number of them, and like I honestly can't recommend it enough. If you're talking about value for money, and particularly, not that it's the only measure, but value for money in comparison to hours played, like I sunk 60 hours into this. Could have played
really?
more.
Wow.
Yeah. 60 hours. Which, like, if that puts you off, do not let it put you off, because it is the kind of game where you can play it solidly for 5 hours, like you might do, and you can put that down for a month and come back to it. Everything that you need to know is contained within every puzzle, so there's no sort of sense of like, oh, what is the story, what the hell's going on here, what am I going to remember? It is all written in text in front of you every time. So like if you just want to pick away at it, I totally recommend playing it with a friend or a partner or whatever. Like sit and use that hive mind to solve some of these more difficult puzzles. Super satisfying. Like one of my games of the year for sure. Like it will never be considered in that category, but it's fantastic. So yeah,
nice one.
Glad to get it out of the way though. And I guess the last thing to mention, I just kind of brought it up quickly last week, but my free month of Apple Arcade finished just a couple of days ago.
Yes, of course. Thanks for reminding me. Mine goes up next week.
Well, yeah. I actually set 2 calendar reminders, and neither of them actually set off an alarm on my phone, so it has auto-renewed without me actually choosing to. Rigid. However, I was going to.
Okay.
Yeah, I had decided a few days ago that, for the £5 that at least the first month is going to be, I think it's worth it. I have still got about half of what the golf to play, and I want to play that. I realised I still want to see what else that's going to do. I really enjoyed that game Pilgrims that I've spoken about a little bit on previous shows, and I've still got a whole list of already downloaded games on my phone, and plenty more that are going to be added to the service, I'm sure, and plenty more on the service that I've not even discovered yet. And I just thought I would pay £5 for what the golf, and I would have paid a couple of quid easily for Pilgrims. So I'm going to chuck them my money, see how much more of it I play. It might not play very much because there's a ton of games coming out in the next sort of 6 weeks, but yeah, I thought that it was worthwhile. So I'll keep you updated with any games I pick up in the near future.
Cool, man. Well, I might have a different take next week, I have to say, because I've not quite decided what I'm going to do with my subscription.
Yeah.
But I think for now, it's on to the news. All right, and before we get stuck into the news, just a couple of things from the Blizzard debacle from last week. So something that we never mentioned was that, as well as all the stuff with Blitzchung, there was also an American college Hearthstone team that, in solidarity with Blitzchung, held up a sign saying "Free Hong Kong, boycott Blizz" during their Hearthstone match. This was done fully knowing or fully expecting that they would get banned. And to see whether or not Blizzard were simply banning Blitzchung because he made his statement under the eyes of China, basically, and when he was kind of right there in the heart of it all. Mm-hmm. So it was basically just to see if Blizzard were going to treat them the same way as Blitzchung was treated. Now, the ban took a very, very long time to come down, but they did get banned. They got the same 6-month ban that Blitzchung got. However, to the students' credit, they had all decided to cancel the rest of their matches and dropped out from the tournament before this ban was handed down to them. Obviously, because Blizzard have proven themselves not to align with their values, and therefore decided to walk away. Something that Blizzard could learn from.
Yeah, absolutely.
And another piece of news that came out of this is the news story that does not stop, Lewis, is that there is now a bipartisan letter from the US Congress that has been sent to Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick, which is, I think is how we're saying his second name, urging him to reverse the decision on Blitzchung. That is insane. Lewis, do you want to read what they said?
Sure. They said, your company claims to stand by one's right to express individual thoughts and opinions, yet many of your own employees believe that Activision Blizzard's decision to punish Mr. Chung runs counter to those values. Because your company is such a pillar of the gaming industry, your disappointing decision could have a chilling effect on gamers who seek to use their platform to promote human rights and basic freedoms. Indeed, many gamers around the world have taken notice of your company's actions, understandably calling for boycotts of Activision Blizzard gaming sites. As China amplifies its campaign of intimidation, you and your company must decide whether to look beyond the bottom line and promote American values like freedom of speech and thought, or to give in to Beijing's demands in order to preserve market access. We urge you in the strongest terms to reconsider your decision with respect to Mr. Chung. You have the opportunity to reverse course. We urge you to take it.
Strong words.
Pretty strong words, yeah, absolutely.
And this was signed by high-ranking Democrats and Republicans. Mm-hmm. So both sides of the American political spectrum coming together on this issue. It's remarkable that it's got that far, isn't it? It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's an easy political point for some of these Congress people to make.
It is, and they're obviously...
They've got their own reasons for doing it.
They've got their own reasons for doing this. They definitely do.
Yeah.
They definitely do, but nonetheless...
Yeah. It is a powerful and important part of this discussion, absolutely, that, you know, the representatives of people in America and the people who work for Activision Blizzard are stepping up and saying, you know, this can't go on like this. It'd be so easy for politics just to ignore this issue as a fringe gaming thing. Like you said before, it's the news story that keeps coming. It's transcending the gaming space now and becoming, you know, fairly major news. So... yeah, I don't think this letter will do anything particularly.
No,
but,
me neither.
You know,
so I believe that letters were also sent to Apple, urging them to reinstate that app that was being used by a lot of the protesters, and was sent to someone in the NBA to do with the whole NBA thing that was happening around this Hong Kong protest stuff. So yeah, it's definitely bigger than gaming. Anyway, on to news item number 1 proper. Sticking with Blizzard. It seems that Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 could have been leaked ahead of BlizzCon, assuming BlizzCon goes ahead.
Which it surely can't anymore.
I mean, they've put a lot of money in it.
Yeah, but they've just had their 2 biggest reveals leaked and they've got a protest on their hands.
Well, have they been leaked? Have they been leaked? So, sticking with Diablo 4 first and foremost, an ad has been run in a German gaming magazine called GameStar, which, as I kind of understand it, is their sort of equivalent of like Game Informer or something like that. Apparently, it's like the biggest German language gaming magazine that there is, so not to be scoffed at, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they ran an ad for a book called The Art of Diablo. Have you seen that? Have you actually seen pictures of that? Like, it has Blizzard Entertainment logos all over it. And apparently this book will feature over 500 artworks from Diablo, Diablo 2, Diablo 3, and Diablo 4, the yet unreleased, unannounced Diablo 4. Do you think it's legit?
I think it's
I mean, it must be. It absolutely must be, right?
I mean,
and we were also expecting this from BlizzCon.
Totally. Like, yeah, it's definitely real because there's no way a gaming magazine would publish an advert for a gaming company and not know that it's come from the right company. Like, I work a bit in this kind of field, and like, there's just no way that's happening. So that has come from whatever media company represents Blizzard, even if it's not Blizzard themselves.
I completely understand that, but it also seems unfathomable that this has been put to print and released to the public before the announcement.
Totally. I can imagine, though, that if it's true that this Diablo 4 announcement was really supposed to happen at BlizzCon last year, which there's a lot of discussion around that terrible BlizzCon that ended with the mobile game that everyone got very mad at last year.
Yes.
That was supposed to actually end with a Diablo 4 reveal but got pulled last minute. I can imagine that this book has been essentially in the works since then, and therefore this advert might actually have been just knocking around as artwork since then. I mean, that's a long shot, and you would assume someone would check it, but I can imagine that that's got through the checking process.
If someone from Blizzard's team send you the article saying publish this, and then you as GameStar go, you sure?
They go,
yeah. then that's the end of that. You know what I mean? You run it.
I bet they won't even look at it closely. They'll just be like, yep, that looks roughly like the advert that we were expecting.
I think people at a gaming magazine would have noticed that Diablo 4 was on that.
Oh, well, if they, I mean, in terms of like editing it, like there's no way they're going to check that and then phone Blizzard and be like, hang on, like they're just going to go, it's a Diablo thing,
totally,
cool.
Totally,
you know?
Yeah, fair enough. Absolutely fair enough. All right, and the second leak was for Overwatch 2. Alleged leak is for Overwatch 2. This comes from a guy called Metro on Twitter. Now, usually when leaks are passed around on Twitter, it's generally horseshit. And it should always be met with a lot of skepticism. However, this chap seems to have been right in the past, potentially a couple of times, and he says that his source is someone tied directly to a Blizzard dev. So maybe there's some credence here. There has been rumours of an Overwatch 2 for, a long time now, to be honest. He says that the game will have both PvE and PvP elements, which is new, as I understand it, from the original Overwatch. I've not really played Overwatch very much at all, although I do feel it is something I would have been interested in.
I think so, yeah.
When that game came out, I just had absolutely zero interest in an FPS shooter, and I kind of feel as if I've missed out now, to be honest. So if there is a new one, I'm kind of like, But apparently the PvE modes will be similar to Left 4 Dead, which is a comparison that I also don't know much about it, to be honest with you. But it sounds to me that it's going to be like 4-person missions, effectively. I think it actually sounded more in line of like a Destiny raid, although not like 12 hours or whatever long they go on for, but it sounded like in a short missions done in a 4-person team. He also alleges that there'll be a new leveling system that will affect how your hero plays, which again is different from the original, and is also, quote, doubling down on the fact that the game will in fact be Overwatch 2 and won't be Overwatch Chapter 2, say, in the same vein as Fortnite. Thoughts? I
don't know much about Overwatch either, and so I can't speak as kind of confidently about this as the Diablo one. I suspect it probably is true though, and given the level of detail that this streamer has managed to go into, it seems like odd things to know about a game that that you've not got directly from someone in the know, and to put that out there. Yeah,
I think that he thinks he knows. But whether he actually knows is an entirely different story.
Of course. But like, if there's been rumours around it, and like you said, like I don't know too much about Overwatch and the whole kind of sphere around it, but if there's been rumours of a new game, Blizzard are definitely going to want to say some positive things here. The Switch port might suggest they're trying to build their player base, and that's happening like right now, basically, right? The Switch port is out now, I think.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
And so you can imagine that on the back of that, they want to say Overwatch 2 is coming early 2021. Get ready. Everyone dive into the game just now. Work it out. New players, try it out. There's a new one coming on the horizon. So potentially, but I do think like if both of these leaks are true and they are the headliners of BlizzCon 2019, that is a problem for Blizzard.
It takes some of the surprise out of it, I suppose. But these are the announcements that fan base want.
Yeah,
so
that's true. Yeah,
they're going to get what they want, and when gamers get what they want, it's generally thumbs up. This time might be slightly different, but yeah, I think that the whole, as you said, like the sphere around like Blizzard and these games, I'm really interested to see what happens at BlizzCon.
It's going to be fascinating. Because
I actually heard. I was listening to another podcast where they discussed this. I think it was one of the kind of funny ones where, in fact, it was because Tim Getty's brought up that this has kind of got to the point where if there's going to be like large protests, that the security is going to be like through the roof, and if somebody does something stupid, then people could end up getting hurt here, and that's not good. That's not what anybody wants here. Do you know what I mean? If you're going to protest, peaceful protest,
totally,
whatever. Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of getting to that level now where there might be fears for people's safety, and if there are those kind of fears, then it's just another reason for Blizzard to cancel it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, they would be stupid to go ahead if there's any concern, particularly for their own staff, but they could say that even if it's not true to get out.
I don't think that necessarily isn't a true statement. All right, and news item number 2. Riot Games has announced a whole load of new games. Riot, of course, being famous for basically making only one game, which is League of Legends. They then released Teamfight Tactics, their auto battler, not that long ago, and now they're going to be adding to their catalogue in a big way, it seems. The games that they announced were a fighting game set in the League of Legends universe, which is currently called Project L, a card game set in the League of Legends universe, which is called Legends of Runeterra, and then one completely out of left field, a tactical multiplayer FPS character shooter set in a near future Earth. No ties to League of Legends so far as they're letting on just now, which is currently called Project A. Then, potentially more wild, a management sim where instead of managing a football team, say, in the vein of the Football Manager series, you are managing a League of Legends esports team, which is truly bizarre to me. Then a mystery Project F, which Riot Games didn't say much about, but in a press release after their live stream where they announced all this information, they said that the purpose of the project is to explore the possibilities of traversing the world of Runeterra with your friends, and kind of speculation around that is that it's going to be a kind of multiplayer action RPG game. So yeah, a lot. And they're also releasing an animated series, which I thought looked quite good, and Lewis is laughing at me for.
I mean, I haven't watched the trailer for that, so maybe it looks great, but you're just a big anime dork, so...
And what? Tom at me.
Yeah, some pretty major stuff from Riot here, like to, in one fell swoop, essentially, like, quadruple... More than that, your whole gaming output?
From going to one game to including Teamfight Tactics, a fighting game, a card game, a tactical FPS, a management sim, some RPG game, it sounds like, and you're making an animated series. Yeah, that's quite a lot in one announcement, I would say.
Sounds like they've got plenty of money, and it's cool that they've like sort of doubled down by and large on that universe that they've obviously created so much love for from the fan base. So you can imagine that most of these games are going to be at least relatively commercially successful, as long as they don't drop and be terrible.
I would have thought so.
Given that two of them are called Project A and Project F, I don't think we're going to see any of these.
And Project L.
And Project L, yeah. We're not going to see any of these for a long time.
No, I think they're probably a ways out. I think that the card game, though, what was it called? Legends of Runeterra, the card game, is set for release next year, though, and I think the management sim is also set for release next year. So, but God knows when we'll get these other games. But it's interesting. It seems as if they're matching up with the rest of them, basically to take on Blizzard. Like the Project L, the fighting game, fair enough, Blizzard don't really have a counterpart to that, but they've got a card game to take on Hearthstone, they've got a hero shooter basically to take on Overwatch, and they've got a multiplayer action RPG to take on Diablo. So I think that this says to Blizzard, at possibly their weakest moment, we're coming for you.
Yeah,
you know?
They did say in a statement last week they felt sorry for Blizzard on the back of all the Blitzchung stuff. So they then several days later essentially say we're after you. It's quite a swerve, but yeah, cool stuff. I mean, again, like League of Legends isn't sort of my scene at all, but amazing for fans of Riot and for that game that they're getting so much stuff to look forward to.
Think you'd be interested in any of it? Fighting game particularly? Fighting for you?
Fighting game I'm always willing to look at, yeah. I've got to say something, I will never play it, but something about the management sim thing I just think is kind of cool. Like I'll
think about how many hours you lost to Football Manager list.
The best hours of my life.
You can't go back, mate. You can't go back. We got you off it.
No, obviously I loved Football Manager, and I would have no interest in esports generally, and I would not play a management sim, but I just think it's quite an interesting kind of statement to make, where they are saying like, we think this is so serious that we think people will want to play
it's
that.
Like meta on meta, though.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Totally.
It's crazy.
I mean, it's good that they're taking a punt on it and they're not leaving it to like SI Interactive or whatever to move into that space. They're kind of going, this is our scene, we know this, we're going to evolve it in new and interesting ways. And so, you know, the amount of people now that play Football Manager as a way to learn about football management, maybe the next esports managers 10 years from now will be growing up on this game. So I just think it's a fun thing. Like I'll never try it, but it's cool that they're doing it.
Yeah, it's very interesting. All right, and news item number 3. Activision has confirmed that the new Call of Duty Modern Warfare will be monetized through a battle pass, not loot boxes. The battle pass will be released on a seasonal basis, with free and premium tiers, like many other battle passes. Cosmetic items will be available through the battle pass and through an in-game store. The battle pass won't, however, be available at launch because they want to make sure that day one is, quotes, awesome. Thoughts?
I mean, good that they are definitely moving away from the loot box system. That last bit about day one makes me very nervous.
What you mean, considering Activision's horrible history of sending a game out, making it look good for reviews, and then changing it in the most drastic and horrible fashions after the fact?
Yeah, I mean, precisely that. Yeah. I get what they are saying with that statement, but I do not believe it in the slightest. Like, I think that's a way to get beyond the reviewers who are going to be picking this up and talking about it in the next few days, and the early adopters of the game are going to come in and go, oh, this is great. Nothing egregious and horrible going on
big
here.
dirty loot boxes 6 months down the line.
Yeah.
I always feel that there's a lot of hate around Call of Duty, and for fucking good reason. Like, people out there who are annoyed at Call of Duty, you've got every right to be, quite frankly. But see, because like I had such love for it back in the day, like totally. I absolutely loved those games. I always want to believe the best. So I really, really hope they don't fuck it. They have a real good chance here. They're reinventing this classic within the franchise. They seem to be trying to do something really quite interesting and bold with their story. Again, we'll see how that plays out. They're now moving away from loot boxes, which is only a good thing. So I just hope they don't fuck it up. I really, really would love it if they didn't fuck this up. But like you, I am extremely skeptical.
Yeah.
All right, and news item number 4. Google have confirmed that Stadia's wireless controller won't be so wireless, at launch at least. It will only be wireless if you're using it on your TV with a Chromecast Ultra. If you want to use it on your phone or on your PC, you will have to connect with a USB-C cable. Although Stadia will only be available through their Founders Edition, which is £119 here in the UK, but is actually sold out because I checked today. Mm-hmm. And it's $129 in the US. It launches on November the 19th. You do get a Chromecast with your Founders Edition. I mean, a lot was kind of made of this. I don't really think it's as big a deal as many people were making it out to be. But it just seems like you've come up to the first hurdle and you've not fallen over it per se, but you've kind of, I don't know, maybe like stepped over it and not have it. Like you've kind of went,
you've hit it and you're stumbling a bit.
Yeah, you've hit it and you're kind of stumbling. And if you face plant it in the next one, it could be the end for you. You know what I mean?
I think you're totally right. When I first read this, I was like, God, this is really bad. And then realised, actually, you're getting a Chromecast with your Founders Edition. So assuming...
But the point is, in that controller, and the reason that they were punting that controller, is that it was going to connect directly to Google servers. Yeah. And you would therefore be able to switch between all these devices. A-OK, no problem, all good, thumbs up. It appears that at least at launch, and it was promised that this would happen at launch, that isn't going to be the case. And that, if you're charging someone 120 quid for their Founders Edition, is a bit bullshit.
Exactly. And so if this isn't fixed or updated or whatever in time for the free rollout, you'll be furious if you've paid this money and you got no real benefit from it. Also, like, that is to assume that everyone is going to want to play on a TV screen where they can plug in their Chromecast, as you just said.
I would almost argue that that's the least beneficial place for them to be, because if you want to play on your TV, you've got your PlayStations, you've got your Xbox. If you want to play on your PC, you've got your gaming PC. For them, the value for me comes in the portability, comes in the being able to take it on the go, being able to play it on your tablets. I don't know. It just doesn't feel good. I don't think it's as bad as people are making it out, but it's not. It's just very negative. Whereas xCloud, which has also just been in beta over the last couple of weeks, and there hasn't been a lot come out of it yet, but anything that has come out of it has been that this basically works.
Yeah.
So I'll be very interested to see the reaction to Stadia when it comes out.
Totally, yeah. I mean, if it doesn't work on PC, I think that is a problem, because people that don't have gaming PCs,
I mean, it works.
Might well be.
It works.
I know, but like to not be able to do it wirelessly. So if you were, if you bought it right now to play on your laptop, you would have to sit here with a cable connecting to it, and I think you would probably just decide, I'll go and play it on the PlayStation then, right? Yeah. So yeah, not ideal start, but yeah, not a disaster either.
All right, and just to finish off with a couple of shout outs. First one is a bit of a PSA, really. WWE 2K20 has come out, and holy hell, as objectively as this statement gets, it is a bad game.
Yeah, it
looks real bad. The graphics are horrible. The physics are absolutely shocking. Mechanically, it seems a bit broken as well. It's glitchy and buggy all over the place. I'm going to give a shout out to a guy over on Reddit goes by the username Dazed Rabbit, who on our games has compiled this absolutely amazing list of like a lot of the problems with the game, and has a lot of links to like snippets from streams with like the physics going badly wrong, and they are absolutely hilarious. So I would encourage you to go and watch them anyway. But if you're really considering buying this game, like I would seriously go and look at that and maybe quite genuinely maybe think again. All right, and shout out number 2. The Outer Worlds embargo has lifted, Lewis. You are very excited about this game.
I am, yeah.
It is currently sitting with an 86 on PS4, an 85 on Xbox, and an 83 on PC. Pretty damn good.
Pretty good, yeah. I'm quite surprised that it's higher on PlayStation than Xbox, given that it's essentially now an Xbox studio. And
well, yeah, but there was also news came out this week as well that it had been optimised better. Like you can only get it in 4K on the Xbox One X, but in the PS4 Pro you're getting about 2K. So actually the best experience is on Xbox One X, and it's reviewed better on PlayStation somehow.
Because PlayStation's better.
Said like a true fanboy. Well done. No, I think quite genuinely, I just think there's more reviews.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's. I mean, I'm dying to dive into some of these reviews, see what people are saying about it. I am not an RPG guy. Certainly, was never a Fallout guy, and for some reason, I'm just very excited about this. So, getting these reviews in at this level, I think is really cool. I think it's going to be up there for one of the kind of games of the year contender at the end of 2019.
Cool, man. Another game that came out was Ring Fit Adventure. This was Nintendo's crazy new fitness game whereby you got this ring peripheral that you attached your...
The Ring-Con.
The Ring-Con, yes, that you attached your Joy-Con to, and then a leg strap which you attach your other Joy-Con to. It's currently sitting at a 78 on Switch. But if you read the actual reviews, everyone's saying basically this is great for what it is, which I think is quite good. Like and gamifying exercise, I think that's a good way to go around exercise. Although that score might not be like all singing, all dancing, for what it is, it seems pretty good. And more importantly, it seems as if these peripherals actually work, and not only that, actually work pretty damn well.
Yeah, can do something interesting. Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Shout out number 4, another game that came out for the Nintendo Switch was Little Town Hero. This was the game by Game Freak, which I think is one of their first game, or one of the few games that they've ever made that isn't a Pokemon game, and it has not reviewed well. Remember, do not be a slave to that Metacritic. I nearly went a show without saying it there, Lewis. Yeah. Do not be a slave to that Metacritic. But it did get 67, and it does seem as if the fact that it is set in this small town is actually kind of its shortfall. I think it gets a bit boring and gets a bit repetitive quite quickly. Although I have been hearing kind of positive things about the kind of weird battle system. Yeah. But yeah, maybe...
I thought the trailer looked terrible, and I thought that battle system looked completely incomprehensible. So it's good that people like that at least. But
yeah, I mean, it seems to be a bit of a swing and miss, honestly. But let's face it, they've got Pokemon coming up, so I doubt they're that concerned. This one just coming to my attention just a few hours ago, sent to me by our number one reporter, apparently Lewis Camley. The UK Children's Commissioner has called for the UK government to regulate loot boxes under the Gambling Act.
Yeah, this story just cropped up as we were kind of preparing to do the show this week, so I don't want to talk about it for too long, and it'll probably rumble on for months anyway. But yeah, basically the Children's Commissioner in England, Anne Longfield, has asked the UK government to consider classifying games under the Gambling Act because of the predatory and really negative effects they're having on children. It came from a study called Gaming the System, and they interviewed kids between 10 and 16, and it's all the kind of stuff we've been talking about. Although one point that was made by a 10-year-old that's mentioned in this article, we've never really spoken about, which is just the kind of social pressure on kids to feel like they have to keep spending money on games to not play as the default skin because then you look poor, kind of thing. Yeah, which I've never really considered.
Can I just say, like, I think that the social pressures around these games are probably what's making people a lot of money, and it's really preying on kids, which is kind of horrible. I mean, everyone's been in school and knows that kind of school mentality. Absolutely, of you've got to have the shiny new thing, and if these shiny new things are virtual, it doesn't really make any difference.
Exactly, yeah. So just super quickly, some of the recommendations made are like a daily spending limit for children when playing games, feature that would allow players to track all their spending within the game, or I guess allow parents to do that.
That's kind of shocking that isn't.
It's not there. Yeah. Online games should be subject to a legally enforceable age rating system, the same as physical games. And, absolutely. And most interestingly for me, they recommended that online games become a focus of digital citizenship lessons in schools, so that teachers involved in teaching kids every day know what these games are and how they work and how they are affecting kids. I think that is really interesting.
That is fantastic. Yeah. To be honest with you, I hadn't read the article, as we said. This came to my attention literally as we were just about to record. So I've not had the opportunity to read it properly. But that all sounds, 1, completely reasonable, 2, completely achievable, and 3, all really good ideas.
Yeah, totally sensible, yeah. So, well, I'm sure we'll bring it up again in future. We'll put the link to the article. This is from Eurogamer onto the show notes on PlayersToo.com. Go and check it out, particularly if you live in this country. It might be the start of something. All
right, time for a beer, Lewis, and back for Topic of the Week. And we are back with Topic of the Week. Topic of the Week this week is studios or IPs that we think should try something different, Lewis. This in the vein of what Riot is doing, basically. So this is our kind of like spin on this, and we thought, wouldn't it be good to speculate and pontificate?
That's what we do best.
That is what we do best. On other studios, other games, other franchises that we think, oh, wouldn't it be good if they did something like this? What have you got?
Yeah, well, I think first of all, it's quite important to know, like as we sort of said earlier, the thing that Riot can do with League of Legends is only possible because of the scale of that universe and the kind of love that it's got. So a lot of these like might not quite work out or whatever, but there's one place I wanted to start, which is actually something that these games have kind of done before, actually spun off and done things with before, but I think we can do better. So I wanted to start with the idea that one or both of Tekken and Mortal Kombat can do some sort of proper third-person narrative-based spin-off that isn't a traditional beat-em-up game.
Lewis Camley.
Yeah.
That is... Me and you, by the way. It's a good thing we've got a podcast together. I was also going to say this.
Yeah, so like if you don't know, like some people might have played Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks, which came out.
Lewis, I've written down. I'm going to show you the laptop. I've typed out, but moments ago, Shaolin Monks.
Like it's that was a great idea and a decent game. It's probably doesn't hold up very well.
I don't think
now.
it probably aged very well, but at the time it was.
We loved it at the time.
Yeah, we did love it at the time, but I don't think it's probably held up that well.
No,
but it was a fantastic idea. The execution was fine. Yeah. It was like, okay. Again, it was a great idea.
Like we were 12, 13 when that game came out, so like it probably seemed a lot better than it actually was. And the same with a game that maybe more people aren't aware of, it doesn't feel like it made quite as big a dent, was Death by Degrees, which was Tekken's spin-off that was a Nina Williams standalone game. Bizarre to think about that
Forgotten
now. Yeah.
By almost everyone.
Yeah. And so like there's just so many characters in both of those games. Like I'll stick to Tekken maybe first then, because Tekken's definitely like my bag.
That's your wheelhouse.
And that to go back to kind of what I was saying about Riot there, I was like, I don't imagine if Tekken and Namco actually did this that anyone would really want it. But like they have characters there, they have assassins, they've got like the Brian Fury character that's this kind of like walking tank essentially. You could
or Jack, who's literally a walking tank.
Like actually a walking tank, yeah. But like something about like Brian's personality I think could lend itself well to a game where you just run about a city like destroying things or whatever. Like
what an odd character to give a spin-off.
I know, like
a
one-man army. Because I guess the obvious thing, and as they sort of do within the Tekken series, is to have the Mishimas. They have those modes in most of the kind of latter games where it's a sort of an adventure mode thing.
Yeah. And they also had a standalone one of those as well, where you played as Jin.
Is that right? Oh yeah, they did.
Yeah, it was called like Revelation.
Yeah. It was it not just a PSP game or something though? I feel like it wasn't on actual like proper consoles. Anyway, like just to take someone else from that universe and do something kind of narrative based with them. It doesn't have to be like a huge game, but there's a lot of like rich character stories there that just get buried in the arcade videos, and I think that we could dig out some of that stuff and like make some really interesting stories. Like again, Death by Degrees was absolutely panned at the time, so I'm not sure that actually Namco should do this, or even that NetherRealm should do like a modern Mortal Kombat spin-off. But working with other studios, like there's so much in those universes that we could dig into,
Having done a bit of Googling, I think that what I was thinking about might have been just a mode within another game, as you were saying. But what I was thinking about, right, is why not have, instead of like all this 3D stuff, over the shoulder stuff, why not just have like a side scroller? Why not just have like a side scroller in the same vein as like Shaolin Monks, or like even back to like Streets of Rage?
Yeah.
Like, but have it be like good, have it not be like old school Streets of Rages. Although there's definitely like a place for that, but that wouldn't be what I'd be looking for from like a spin-off of Mortal Kombat or Tekken, or what I'm sure people will be looking for from like a spin-off of like Street Fighter, or I don't know, choose your fighting game, Like, why not have like platforming elements and have RPG elements where you can like grow your character?
Totally, yeah.
And I don't understand why you couldn't have that. Like, for example, I'd understand that obviously that the Mortal Kombat done this with Liu Kang and
Kung Lao.
Kung Lao, thank you. But man, Sub-Zero and Scorpion, or
Totally.
just Scorpion,
Yeah.
the Scorpion game. Why doesn't that exist?
I mean, like, that's the thing. You could build a whole franchise around just some of these individual characters, you know?
Sticking with fighting games as well, because this is where I went to as well, because I was just thinking, these games have such huge pools of characters, you know what I mean? And they often have like quite a lot of lore. A lot of it's fucking nonsense because they are fighting games.
Yeah.
But they do have a lot of lore. And another game that I was thinking about is Smash Brothers, right? Why hasn't there been other games like Smash Brothers? I understand that there was PlayStation All-Stars back in the day, which was kind of alright.
Yeah.
It seemed as if it was so-so. But why isn't there a Tekken multiplayer brawler? Why isn't there a Mortal Kombat multiplayer brawler? You know this game that Ninja Theory are bringing out? This kind of 3D brawler looking thing, which kind of looks like Smash Brothers in 3D. Again, it's all sorts of melee attacks with kind of limited projectiles and things like that. Why couldn't you have a good version of a Tekken that did something like that, you know?
Do you think like
or in fact not so much a Tekken for that? I would say that would be better. That would lend itself better to like a Mortal Kombat. I would have thought.
Yeah,
Just with like
but-
the character abilities.
Yeah, but do you think that there's enough difference there for people? Like, would that gain attraction? Do you think just that it's this different kind of style of play, essentially?
Yeah, I mean, it's a massively different style of play, and it's a much more simplified style of play in reality. I mean, the systems and things like that go into fighting games are, although I think at surface level they might look relatively simple compared to other games.
Yeah.
Like the balancing and stuff like that from every little decision that you make in a fighting game is just like absolutely off the scale. So it would be much more dumbed down. And in a lot of ways, like the inputs and the amount of moves and things like that you can do in Smash Brothers, although I understand again at very, very high levels it gets like super wild and super complicated, but at its base, I don't understand why it would be any different, really.
Yeah,
You know? And I think that I just don't understand why that doesn't exist. Like, why haven't Mortal Kombat tried that? I mean, Mortal Kombat in their 3D days went through some real dog shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Tekken for a long time was a bit kind of up and down as well. Street Fighter, again, for a long time was like fading into irrelevancy, but and just kind of brought itself back a wee bit. I don't understand why at those times when you had games like Melee, for example, that were absolutely setting the world alight. Like, why didn't you try that?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
It's kind of expecting the same response that every FPS had to Battle Royale. Do you know what I mean? They were all falling over themselves to try and make one as soon as possible. I just don't understand why that never happened with brawlers. And I mean, say what you want, Battle Royales were basically popularised by PUBG, but subsequently we've now got a plethora of good ones. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying everything would have stuck. They might have made these games and they might have been fucking dreadful.
Yeah.
But maybe the Mortal Kombat one was amazing, the Tekken one might have been dreadful, and the Street Fighter one might have been crap, but you know,
You just need to be the one, yeah.
I'd just love to see people with these universes just try something wild and
Totally,
different.
yeah. There's something in the idea as well of like a battle royale brawler, like a hand-to-hand 100-person fight to the death.
Now we're talking, Liz. Now we are talking. You got anything else?
I mean, one thing that I've sort of spoken about a wee bit before, I don't know if it counts exactly as like spin-offs, but using kind of modes or ideas that are within games to just like parse them off and do other things with them. So things like, I remember when we played Dragon Age, we spoke about this a wee bit, and how in that game you've got those tabletop moments where you can send kind of different types of troops out to do little missions for you, and it's something that Ubisoft do as well within like the Assassin's Creed series, and you have these kind of like essentially like squad control kind of things. Strip all that down, that most of that's garbage, right? But like if Ubisoft could make something like say set in the scope of the Assassin's Creed universe, which gives them essentially the whole history of mankind to play with, and do something that's kind of like almost like an XCOM type game that's tactical and strategic and maybe like stealthy, but
tactical assassinations.
yeah, like
That would be awesome.
something with like the complexity of XCOM, which can be super complex at its
Oh no,
like
100% super
yeah,
complex.
as
XCOM among them all.
exactly,
Super
like
complex.
as you go through that. And I know Ubisoft were involved in the Mario Rabbids thing, right? But forget that. You want a whole kind of, imagine like from say Brotherhood or whatever, when you used to infiltrate huge cathedrals in Rome or in Florence and that kind of thing. A setup where you come in and you've got a team from the Brotherhood and you've got a target to take down, and it's all patrolling enemies and stuff. Like there was those like Go games.
By the way, the
years
more you're
ago, but-
talking about this,
yeah.
the more I'm like,
there's something in that, I think, like, and you can control like what your squad looks like and how, you know, so you might actually veer quite far away from the Assassin's Creed kind of style and have a team where you've got like a big heavy bruiser and he might be there to like draw out people, but you've got people clambering in over the top at the same time. Thinking of it, even watching you play a little bit of Fire Emblem and just that kind of battlefield control thing.
That's what I was imagining. I'm thinking of like if you had to like infiltrate a building, you had like your guys on multiple floors, and then you had to coordinate what they were doing in order to gain access to the target, and then even then you had to coordinate what they were all doing to. I keep thinking if it was like 3 or 4, they have to coordinate to get like a stealth kill.
Exactly.
Or again, you could just run in, fucking balls to the wall, just try and murder everyone.
And things like, like you would know that certainly like this...
It's slower turn-based.
Exactly, turn-based, and you'd be like, this person who's...
Listen, I think we need to get a PlayerStoo patent on this, mate. That sounds great.
They can have it, just give us a cut. Like, you know, you'd have people clambering
I said that as if we had any skill to produce this.
Clambering in a window at one side, say, and you'd see like, oh, the patrolman's about to catch him, so I need to get this player to like break a bottle, and that distracts him, and then he can sneak in and hide. That stuff would be so much fun, I think. You're
speaking my language here. I love it. I'm just going to finish on the one that I always say, which is a real life or more realistic 18 rated, M rated Pokemon game.
M rated,
which I really want to be basically like Monster Hunter World meets Pokemon, where you can have like enormous beasts fight one another. And I don't really know how this would work, but in my head it would be you would be somehow either simultaneously or in a kind of turn-based system controlling both your monster or maybe multiple monsters that you were controlling for the purposes of this battle, and your character,
and the trainer,
and what we will call quotes the trainer in this game, fighting against someone else like that. And again, it could be that the other person had like one like insanely powerful quotes Pokemon, and you could use like 2 like weaker monsters to like take it down in a more again talking about like in a more tactical fashion, rather than just being like, oh well, it uses fire, so I'll use ice. Do you know what I mean? Kind of things like that. Not ice, obviously, because that would be fucking useless. Water is what I meant to say. I'm actually not sure if ice is strong against fire in Pokemon, or if it's the other way around.
You find out next month.
Okay, I guess so. Could literally Google it now, but I'm not going to. Yeah, but that's always the thing that I thought it'd be really good if that could be something.
Totally.
But that's never going to be made by Pokemon. That's never going to be made by Nintendo in reality. So, but again, it's just another game like. When Pokemon was setting the world ablaze, fair enough, we got Digimon, and apparently the latest Digimon game that came out is actually really good. But when Pokemon was setting the world alight, like, why wasn't there 100 other people trying to get their Pokemon thing off the ground? And I think that if someone had done like a less childlike version of that, done like a more kind of, I hate to use this term, but like edgier version of that, it could have been something like really cool.
Yeah.
But no one ever did.
No, they never did.
I think that they should. And I think it should be fucking Capcom and Monster Hunter World, and it should be like a thing in that universe, and I think that would be fucking great. That'd be so cool.
That would be cool. Well, we can dream. We can dream about all these ideas.
We can dream, Lewis, yes. All right, we'll call it a day there. I would just like to remind everyone that you can find PlayersToo on all the social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, the lot. You can also find our written content over at playerstoo.com. That's PLAYERSTOO.com. And if you like anything that you've heard here, if you could take 5 seconds to give us 5 stars over on Apple Podcasts, that really, really helps us out. And if you could leave a little review as well, that would be absolutely amazing. And thank you so much to anyone that has already done that for us. Again, there is a reason why every podcast that you listen to asks you to review on iTunes. It really does a huge amount for our exposure. And again, just thank you so much to anyone that's already done that for us. You're an absolute legend to us, and it really genuinely does mean a lot. I would also just like to remind everyone that our game for this month is Gorogoa. Again, I would highly recommend that anyone play it on mobile. I will say this to anyone who will bother listening to me. It's a great game. We're going to talk about it in a couple of weeks, and that's still more than enough time to play it. Have you started it yet?
I have not, so it better be enough time to play it.
All your Apple Arcade, and you've not even downloaded our Game of the Month.
Well, it's a PlayAlong game. It's another £5 I have to spend. So.
For God's sake.
But no, I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to get started. So yeah, play along.
Awesome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you later.
Thank you.